is a significant topic, but it's one that is exactly related to the topic at hand. And so it's something that Albert Camus, right, one of the philosophers that you're going to be reading about next week, starts right off the bat, right? He says, there is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. Judging whether life is or is not worth living amounts to answering the fundamental question of philosophy. Okay, so the ones that are far more interesting, they are going to be reading next week, are the views that are going to say that life does not have meaning. But again, I cannot stress this enough. All of them are going to be arguing that life is worth living nonetheless, right? So life is still, or what they're going to say is that life can be made meaningful, even if it does not have meaning, right? In that. So the idea is that in this myth, Sisyphus is condemned to push a rock up a hill for all of eternity, right? And this pushing the rock up the hill is meant to symbolize what we do every day, right? So Camus starts off by saying, we get up, we take the train, we go to work, we take the train home, we go to sleep, we get up, and we do it all over again, right? And so our lives are in a lot of ways just as absurd and meaningless as Sisyphus's, right? We're just pushing the rock up for what? So that we can buy more things and then continue to work, so that we can pay for a house to store all the things, right? I'm sure you all have heard of this worry about, right, participating in the capitalist grind, right? We just work to be able to work some more and continue to work until we die, right? That doesn't strike us intuitively as a super meaningful life, right? And so in that way, again, Camus is trying to say that our lives are like Sisyphus's. However, right, even though our lives are as absurd in that objective sense, right, as Sisyphus's, we can still make meaning in our lives. And for him, and for Camus as Sisyphus in this case, right, the idea is that Sisyphus can make meaning in his life at a very specific point, right? Because the whole day was, you're just gonna have to do the same thing all over again tomorrow. So the moment of triumph, right? The moments of success for Sisyphus is the moment at which he decides to go back down the hill with a smile on his face, right? I am going to go down and do this pointless thing again, and I'm going to do a great job at it, right? Almost like a big, giant middle finger to the god who said that this is your punishment for the rest of your life, right? And so for Camus, he's going to almost instill that sort of rebellious, spiteful nature towards the absurdity, right? So even if we are like Sisyphus, right, we can still make meaning in our lives.